It happens slowly, almost quietly, like a soft wind you don't notice, until everything around you starts moving. One day you wake up, and you're no longer a child, no longer a teenager with infinite summers, no longer someone who believes life will start one day. You're an adult now, and suddenly everything feels urgent. The days feel shorter. The weeks disappear. The years slip through your fingers like water you can't hold on to no matter how hard you try. You start to feel something heavy beneath your ribs, a tightness, a rush, a sense that you are late for a life you haven't even lived yet. You don't talk about it, but it's there. In the quiet moments, in the pauses between tasks, in the nights when you lie awake staring at the dark ceiling thinking, what am I doing? Why am I not further? Is everyone else moving faster than me? And maybe nobody told you this, but this is one of the loneliest parts of adulthood. The quiet panic that you're running out of time before you've even figured out who you are. You watch people around you achieving things, checking boxes, moving up, moving forward, moving somewhere. And you wonder why you feel stuck while everyone else seems to be moving on a fast conveyor belt. Someone your age is buying a house, another is having their third child, someone else is traveling the world, switching careers, launching businesses, finding their passion, and you're here, feeling like you blinked and suddenly fell behind. You start comparing your life to people you don't even know, people online, people whose stories you only see in curated little squares. You feel something warm and heavy rise in your throat when you scroll. Fear, not jealousy. Fear. Fear that you don't have enough time left to catch up. Fear that you missed your chance. Fear that you wasted your 20s. Fear that your 30s are slipping away. Fear that life is moving too fast and you're running too slow. It's not that you haven't tried. You've tried. You've worked, pushed, hustled, adapted. You've given so much of yourself to survival that you barely had energy left for living. You were busy getting through things while others seemed busy building things. And now, suddenly, you start to feel the weight of everything you didn't do, everything you didn't become, everything you thought would happen by now. Maybe you thought by this age you would have a solid career. Maybe you thought you'd be financially stable. Maybe you thought you'd be in love, married, settled. Maybe you thought you'd have more clarity, more confidence, more direction. But instead, you find yourself asking questions you didn't think you'd be asking at this age. What am I doing? Is it too late? Am I allowed to start over? What if I never figure it out? What if I run out of time before I become who I want to be? This panic doesn't explode, it simmers. It sits just beneath your skin like a quiet buzzing. You feel it when you're working a job that drains you. You feel it when you watch another birthday pass. You feel it when someone asks you, "So what's next for you?" And you force a smile because you don't know. You feel it when you think about your younger self and wonder if they'd be proud of you or disappointed. You feel it when you hear the clock ticking inside your mind, reminding you that life doesn't wait. Nobody warns you that adulthood would feel like this. Nobody tells you that time begins to speed up once you stop being carried by routines set by others. Nobody tells you that once the training wheels of childhood come off, you're suddenly expected to know how to ride, steer, pedal, balance, and map out your entire route. Nobody tells you that the pressure to have it all figured out grows heavier the older you get. And nobody tells you how lonely it is to feel like you're falling behind when everyone else seems to be sprinting. You start to look back, and the looking back begins to hurt. You think about the things you should have done earlier, the risks you should have taken, the choices you avoided because you were scared, the years you spent healing from things that shouldn't have happened to you in the first place, the time you lost recovering, rebuilding, surviving. And even though deep down you know it wasn't your fault, the guilt creeps in anyway. You start blaming yourself for things you didn't know, choices you weren't ready for, seasons where you were only trying to stay afloat. You start telling yourself that you should have been doing more while you were barely surviving. But the worst part isn't the fear of running out of time. It's the fear that everyone else can see it too. That people your age are silently judging you. That your family is disappointed. That your friends secretly think you're behind. That your younger siblings have surpassed you. That strangers online are living the life you thought you'd have. That you're the only one who hasn't figured out how to adult correctly. The truth? Most adults feel exactly the same way, but nobody says it. Everyone pretends they're confident, stable, secure. Everyone pretends they know what they're doing. Everyone pretends they're not afraid of aging, not afraid of failing, not afraid of becoming irrelevant. Everyone pretends they're okay because adulthood has a strange rule. Don't let other adults see you struggling. But you can feel the pressure in your bones. You can feel the urgency tightening your chest. You can feel the sense that time is slipping away and you're not moving fast enough. You start to make promises to yourself. I'll start next month, next year, when things calm down, when I have more time, when I have more money, when I feel ready. But ready never comes. You wait for the right moment, not realizing that waiting is the very thing that makes life feel shorter. You tell yourself you'll pursue your dreams once you fix everything else in your life, but everything else never gets fixed. There's always a new problem, a new bill, a new crisis, a new reason to wait, and life keeps moving whether you're ready or not. So you begin rushing. You start forcing yourself to do things quickly. You start measuring your worth by how fast you move. You start panicking when others seem ahead. You start obsessing over lost time, wasted time, stolen time. You start living in a state of urgency that leaves no room for joy, and the faster you try to go, the more stuck you feel. The more you panic, the slower everything becomes. The more you fear time slipping away, the more time you lose inside your fear. What nobody told you is this: the feeling of running out of time doesn't come from age, it comes from comparison. It comes from pressure. It comes from expectations you didn't create, but were handed to you. It comes from watching people take paths you never had access to. It comes from believing you're behind on a timeline that was never yours to begin with. It comes from thinking life has rules, when in truth, it doesn't. Life does not care how old you are when you bloom. Life does not reward speed. Life does not punish delay. Life is not a checklist. Life is not a race. Life is not a competition. But adulthood tricks you into believing that everyone else knows something you don't. When in reality, everyone is improvising. Everyone is confused. Everyone is scared. Everyone is navigating their own version of late. But you're human. You grew up thinking adulthood was a straight line, a neat path, a sequence. You thought it would look like the movies: graduate, career, love, success, stability. But the real world doesn't work like that. Lives twist, paths break, people start over, dreams shift, plans collapse. Growth comes in strange, unpredictable waves. And sometimes the most important chapters of your life start long after everyone else thinks the story should have been finished. You feel like you're running out of time because you care about your life. You care about becoming someone you're proud of. You care about your future. And caring creates pressure. Pressure creates urgency. Urgency creates fear. And fear convinces you that you're late. But here's what you haven't realized yet. You are not late. You are unfolding. You keep telling yourself you should be further by now. You should know who you are. You should know what you want. You should have made better choices, earlier choices, clearer choices. You should have chased certain dreams sooner. You should have avoided certain people sooner. You should have left certain places sooner. You should have built something permanent by now, something stable, impressive, meaningful. You should have been someone else, someone better, someone wiser. These thoughts don't shout, they whisper. But whispers can be just as heavy as screams when they follow you everywhere. You feel the pressure in conversations, even casual ones. When someone asks how your career is going, you feel that tightening in your chest. When someone asks whether you're dating anyone, you feel the air shift inside your lungs. When someone mentions weddings, promotions, babies, investments, achievements, or milestones, you feel something inside you dim slightly, not because you envy them, because you can't escape the feeling that you were supposed to be somewhere else by now. You laugh politely, you nod, you smile, you pretend to be comfortable, but deep down, you're calculating invisible timelines. You're doing emotional math. You're thinking, how long would it take me to get there? How much time did I lose? How far behind am I really? And the worst part is that nobody else sees this quiet war happening inside you. They only see the surface, your ability to make jokes, your kindness, your intelligence, your effort. They don't see the nights when you stare at the ceiling, wondering if you're wasting your life. They don't see the panic that rises when another year passes and you feel unchanged. They don't see how often you question your worth because you don't have the milestones that mark progress in adulthood. You've become good at hiding it. Adults become masters at hiding their fears. You show up to work. You reply to messages. You smile when people tell you good news. You function because that's what adulthood demands. But inside, part of you is grieving. Not grieving people, grieving time. The time you lost healing. The time you lost trying to figure things out alone. The time you lost working jobs you hated because you had no other choice. The time you lost loving the wrong people. The time you lost pretending to be okay. The time you lost recovering from pain that others never even saw. You're not just afraid of running out of time. You're mourning the time you never got to live the way you wanted. And the fear keeps growing, quietly. It grows when you see someone younger doing something you dreamed of doing. It grows when you hear about opportunities you feel too old for. It grows when you attend gatherings where everyone seems more established. It grows when you realize that people you used to know are now adults. In every sense, careers, families, routines. Stability while you feel like you're still trying to catch up. You start thinking in deadlines. You start thinking in expiration dates. You start thinking that if something doesn't happen soon, it might never happen at all. You don't even notice how this fear changes your behavior. It makes you impatient with yourself. It makes you say yes to things you don't want because you think you're out of time to explore. It makes you say no to opportunities because you fear failing in front of people. It makes you rush decisions you're not ready for. It makes you freeze when you should move. It makes you speed up when you should slow down. It makes your life feel like a race you didn't sign up for. There are moments you catch your reflection and feel a sudden heaviness, the realization that you're older than you feel. Not old in years, but old in responsibility, old in disappointment, old in regret, old in unspoken pressure. It's strange when your mind feels young, but your circumstances feel old. You start wondering, when did life become so serious? When did everything start to feel so final? But here's the truth, hidden underneath the panic. You don't fear running out of time because you're failing. You fear running out of time because you still believe there's more for you. You wouldn't panic if you had given up. You panic because you care. You panic because you want a life that feels meaningful. You panic because you know you're capable of more. You panic because something inside you refuses to settle. That fear you feel is not a sign of insufficiency, it's a sign of potential. But adulthood has a cruel way of convincing people that possibility has an expiration date. It makes you believe that once you pass a certain age, certain dreams are no longer allowed, that you're supposed to choose stability over passion. That reinvention is unrealistic, that starting over is embarrassing, that taking your time is irresponsible. These beliefs don't come from truth, they come from comparison. They come from seeing other people reach milestones faster. They come from societal pressure that pretends life must follow a timeline. They come from fear disguised as logic. But the reality is different. The reality is that time bends differently for everyone. You don't know the private timelines of the people you compare yourself to. You don't know how many times they failed. You don't know how many chances they had that you didn't. You don't know what they sacrificed. You don't know what they lost. You don't know how much help they got behind the scenes. You don't know what they're hiding behind curated lives. You only see the surface, never the struggle. Your timeline isn't broken, it's simply yours. But adulthood makes you forget that life is not linear. Life is made of detours, of pauses, of restarts, of breakdowns that lead to breakthroughs, of years that feel wasted but secretly shape your strength, of seasons where nothing makes sense but everything is preparing you for something, of moments where you lose your way only to find a direction you never imagined. Instead of seeing this, you judge yourself harshly. You think you're behind, you think you're late, you think you're failing. But the truth is that your path has simply not revealed its meaning yet. Some people bloom fast, some bloom slow. Some bloom in places they never expected. Some bloom after years of darkness. But they bloom. You forget that the people who look ahead of you might have started earlier. You forget that the people who seem stable may be miserable. You forget that the people who seem successful may feel the same panic you do. You forget that nobody is truly ahead, they're just on different paths, running different races, carrying different histories. But the fear is still real. It doesn't disappear just because it's irrational. You still feel the urgency, you still feel the pressure. You still wake up some mornings terrified that life is slipping through your fingers. You still feel ashamed when people your age seem to be ahead. You still feel anxiety when you see the calendar move faster than your progress. You still feel like you're always catching up to a future that keeps moving. You keep telling yourself you need to achieve something big soon, something impressive, something that makes the time you lost feel justified, something that proves you're not falling behind, something that shows you're still capable of building a life worth living. But that kind of pressure doesn't create progress, it creates paralysis. You can't move forward when you're trying to outrun time. You can't grow when you're rushing. You can't build when you're panicking. You can't flourish when your mind is trapped in timelines instead of possibilities. You can't start living when you're still grieving the life you thought you'd have by now. You think you fear running out of time. But what you really fear is never becoming the person you imagined. You fear waking up one day, realizing you lived a life shaped by fear rather than desire. You fear not fulfilling your potential. You fear settling for a life that doesn't feel like yours. You fear that your dreams will stay dreams. You fear that you waited too long to start. But here is the truth you've been avoiding. The truth that adulthood hides beneath layers of panic. You still have time. You have time even if you're older than you thought you'd be. You have time even if you feel behind. You have time even if you wasted years. You have time even if you're not where you expected. You have time to rebuild. You have time to reinvent. You have time to choose differently. You have time to grow. You have time to change the story. You are not late. You are not running out of time. You are just beginning to understand what your life actually needs. The quiet panic of adulthood doesn't mean your life is ending. It means your life is asking for something deeper, something real, something yours. It means your soul is trying to grow beyond the timeline you inherited. Time isn't your enemy. Your fear is. And once you stop rushing, once you stop comparing, once you stop believing that your life must look like someone else's, you finally make space for your real life to begin.